Welcome to the podcast where two guys talk about stuff and drink coffee.
You can't handle the truth!
This is the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
And now for your listening enjoyment.
Hey everybody, Phil here with the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast, and across from me is
Jimmy Nick.
down in the studio for another episode. Make sure to search, subscribe, and share. Check out our website, coffeewithphilandjim.com. It's got all our information on there, so hit that up, check it out, and we would highly appreciate it. We thank you for listening to this episode, and I want to kind of start off quickly with the coffee at hand.
All right.
Before we get into detailed information about world economics. Just kidding, I don't know that's what we're talking about. But so today I've got a new blend from a new place. I've never had this. I'm sipping on it. Been sipping on it here for a second.
Yes.
And before I tell you where it's from, what's your take on the coffee so far?
And me?
Yeah.
I think this is running neck and neck with Whataburger.
Really?
I really like this. It
Okay.
tastes good to me. It does to me.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah. I'm surprised by where it comes from.
Yeah.
Maybe they got a person down there who knows what they're doing.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
Okay.
But, maybe they just know what flavor actually appeals to us Okies.
Okay.
So,
Maybe it's an Okie brand.
it might be.
Okay. My first take on it is, it's a little weak for me.
Yeah, it might be for you. Yeah. I give it kind of a mild to me. It's mild.
It is a mild.
It's not harsh
But
or bitter.
for me, the taste,
Yeah.
especially there's an aftertaste to it.
Yeah.
The taste is a packaged coffee ran out of a bun machine. You know
More
those
likely,
bun machines,
yeah.
you know?
You put the little packet in there. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what actually brand it is they use,
Oh,
but it tastes like it's from a bun machine.
yeah. What's that one? It's probably that Brothers. What's the name of that one?
Oh yeah, that's an Okie company, isn't it?
Yeah, it used to be. It was Cane's Coffee,
Okay.
which they brewed up there by Edmond forever, and then I can't think of the coffee company that bought it. But I don't think I don't think they make it up there anymore. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it started in Oklahoma City. So, the old Cane's Coffee.
I don't know. It doesn't taste like Folgers.
Yeah.
And I would think at this establishment, Folgers may be a little too expensive.
That's no joke.
So, but anyways, it is from a local place here in town called Tudor's.
Tutors.
It's a drive-through that you can't go inside.
Right.
A little drive-through. They got two different directions that you go. You have people that come out and they take your order. They got food and snacks and
All that good stuff.
all that stuff too. But
And you got to toot your horn when you get there.
yeah, I remember when we first moved here, going there, and it's got new ownership. But I remember going there, and it was fairly cheap. You could get a large drink for like 80 cents or something. It was pretty.
Is that ownership fairly new? I mean,
Yeah, it's probably less than a year, I would say.
okay, because the guy that owned the pizza joint up there, and he owned that and the laundromat across the street. I guess he sold all that stuff off.
Sold it out, yeah. Sold it out, and I believe, and someone can probably correct me, but I believe the new owners are also the owners of the Fast Break gas station in town.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
think they're the same owners. But and it's changed a little bit here and there.
You can catch a bus down there.
Yeah, you can. The Greyhound, right. It goes right there in their parking lot.
Right.
And
Which is kind of disappointing because it used to be Burger King,
for real?
Yeah. You could go in there and get you a Whopper, go next door or whatever and get you a burger while you're waiting on the bus, I guess.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, actually, way back in the day, if I remember correctly, they used to have a bus station out here, like out towards the north up there someplace.
really?
Used to have a
Okay.
bus station, but I guess bus travel isn't all that popular anymore. You had all these different bus lines at the time. There's a bunch of them that run all over the place. I mean,
You go down there. What's it? Bricktown. You go Bricktown and you go east.
yeah, you go to
past the Bass Pro and all, whatever road that is. I forget what it's called.
what? That's
And
Reno.
Is it Reno?
Yeah, but you're going over to what's his name? I'm having a bad time with names this morning, but it was Martin Luther King. There at Martin Luther King and Reno there.
Okay.
There's a bus station there. That's where the new one's at. It used to be right downtown.
Yeah, because it goes right there. Like you get right onto to 40
right
from there. You can get right on 40, but it's the ground and it's
right.
tiny.
Right, yeah, it used to be a big
It's
old
hood.
had a big nice bus station. If you want to call it bus stations, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember as a kid, like if we wanted to go to Tuttle and didn't have a way to go, if you got to the bus station, you catch a bus there.
Okay.
You could catch a bus to about any town you wanted to go to. But of course, all that's dried up and gone away.
Yeah, now you got Ubers and stuff you can take, which I'm a little iffy on the Ubers.
And people got a little leery of riding on buses anyway.
Yeah.
Clientele kind of,
Well, and I think it wasn't it made to be like, cheaper, right? So, if you got to take a bus from here to Colorado, per se, it was cheaper for the ticket.
Yeah, it was cheaper, but a lot of that got started. That was the way to travel, either train or bus.
Mm-hmm.
Back, like I said, when I was a kid, they still had train service. All the train companies had their own passenger trains. That was before this thing they got now, but Amtrak. But
we used to take the back when I lived in Fort Worth. My mom, my brothers, and I we would take the T bus, and it was the local transportation, and they had the bus stops and stuff, and so you could get early on. You always can get a bus pass, but they also had these little coins. And they had like a T on it, and it was really cool design. And you could use those as kind of that, and it was a little cheaper. So if you bought that, instead of paying the regular fare, you could just drop one of those in and go anywhere. And I remember carrying those in my pocket when we would go around. And so we would take the T bus. Sometimes we'd take the T bus downtown, and walk around. Matter of fact, I was 9 or 10 years old, and we lived on the east side of town. We took 2 or 3 stops on the T bus to go down to downtown Fort Worth to Sundance Square. And Sundance Square looks different now.
there's Butch Cassidy there.
Yeah, that's right. Probably. It's probably somebody that thinks he's Butch Cassidy. Because there was a lot of homeless and stuff around there too. My mom took me to my first concert in Sundance Square. It was a free concert.
Yeah.
And
Grateful Dead.
No. Even better.
Even better.
Loverboy.
Loverboy. I was going to say, you say Black Sabbath or something.
Loverboy.
Loverboy.
First concert.
Really? How old were you then?
I was 9 years old. I was 9 or 10. And we loaded up, went there. It was a free concert. And I remember we had just enough money to share a sub sandwich.
Right.
And so we got there really early. Right. So we got up close to the little stage they had. And my mom sent me over across the street to Subway.
All right.
And got a sub sandwich, and I brought it over, and we split that. And
my kids, I saw the group 3 times. First time I saw it was on my own, and it was the Beach Boys.
Okay.
Brian Wilson just died.
Yeah.
But my daughter her first concert, I took her to see the Beach Boys. Mm-hmm. Say, no harm in that. It's the Beach Boys, And the same way with my son, his first concert, I took him to see the Beach Boys. So, it was good music. I think when my son went, there was actually a little guy on it. The drummer for him.
Yeah.
John Stamos.
John
yeah, that's who it is.
That was his first?
Huh? He was a drummer at the time.
Oh,
John Stamos was a drummer for Beach Boys.
yeah.
You know, he after
I don't know.
the Wilson brother died, that was the drummer. And
Didn't the Wilson brother die of, like, coke or something?
actually, I think he drowned. The drummer brother drowned, and then the other ones, I think, disease got him. But anyway, that's probably a different group.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
It's all them different groups, you know. So, anyway.
You take your sign and it's,
yeah. So that's what happened, and I thought, well, that's all right, you know, because their music is all surf music and stuff like that. You know, it's good stuff. Well, they put out one of the best albums ever produced, and that was that Pets Sounds, and said it got the Beatles thinking, and that's when they had to come out with Sgt. Pepper's.
You know,
Because it was a concept album, and that kind of blew them away.
There's still, I mean, that same mentality still goes on.
Yeah.
Through all of that. It goes through music, TV, social media now,
Right.
all these trends to, you know, churches, that type of stuff, that same mentality.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
anyway,
just quick wrap up on this coffee deal. My first is I probably wouldn't go back and get it. It is kind of weak. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
But it's,
you know, the cooler it gets, the weaker
it does the job.
It gets weaker as it gets cooler.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It really does. I take that off the top then.
Now, I would go to say, with a lot of things we talk about, even our coffee, because you know we're talking about coffee and things like that. It's first world problems, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, I can go pick up coffee where I can go Starbucks, you know,
Right.
and that's first world problems,
Yeah.
you know. But
That's true.
so I for some reason, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, somebody asking me, hey, what do you think about this, you know, food, or what's your favorite fast food, or that type of stuff in conversation, you know, I'm always thinking, that's first world problems.
Right.
You know,
it
there are
is.
people around the world that are struggling. You just get a
They
loaf
don't
of
get a
bread.
choice between what burger to go get that day or anything like that, or what restaurant you're going to eat in. They're just lucky if they get some beans and rice that's thrown out of a plane or something, you know.
Yeah.
Or flour and stuff like that, you know. We really, I think that's part of the problem within the churches, is that we've got so used to having it. We have everything.
Yeah.
Whatever we want, we can get to some degree in this country, you know. Like I said, if you got $1 in your pocket, you know, some money in the bank or something, you're 95% more rich than anybody else in the world, you know. And it's ridiculous. And so that same thing happened with Israel. We got so caught up in that, where we had no real desperate needs. You forget about God.
Yeah.
You put God on the back burner.
What's that? Oh my goodness. I'm gone blank, but you know, Himlick, not Himlick. In Proverbs, he talks about, you know, God, just give me what I'm content with, basically, you know, because if I have more, you know, curse God. I'm gonna look that up because I don't want to misquote that, but
Okay.
but you know, it reminds me of something like that. It's like, because we have an abundance,
Right.
It was like our pastor said the other day, you know, our blessings are our downfalls.
Yeah, they really are. Because I think people, you know, they don't put any real value on what Christ did 2,000 years ago. We're 2,000 years removed from that. And I don't think people get fully what was done at that time and how everlasting that truly is. And that the sacrifice that was truly made, because God didn't have to do anything, you know, because I'll toss him out and get me a new group or something, you know.
Right.
But he didn't, you know. It's his love for us. He created us to be his friends and for us to have a personal loving relationship with him. And just like the Pharisees of the first century, he started off with Catholicism and moved forward clear up into the 16th, 17th century and everything, that it all turned into, it doesn't matter what, if you start a new denomination, it became a new religion.
Yeah.
because we're very religious. And we set our own rules and standards just like the Pharisees did in the first century. And I always heard churches say, well, we agree on the important things, but those other things we don't agree on, which, no, it's,
Yeah.
no. I mean, it's like Assemblies of God. They believe you can lose your salvation. They go by Hebrews 6. That's not a small thing,
Right. Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up because I want to share something if we have time later in our podcast. Something God put on my heart yesterday. I was in a meeting and something came up and the Spirit put a verse on, and I've been kind of looking at it since then. That kind of ties to that, if we have time. But just for our listeners, that proverb, it's Proverbs 30, the words of Agar, and he says, verse 7: 2 things have I required of thee; deny me them not before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee, and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name my God in vain.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah. But that's the way of the world, and that's the way
Right.
of so-called Christianity in America, because we have so much. We don't know what lack really is, I mean, you can be poor. You've been in that position. But there is things out here in this country you can actually go get help with.
right.
That you can get the food stamps, you can get all this
Right.
different kind of help that's out there, and I guess some welfare money and stuff like that. Isn't necessary, but a lot of countries you ain't got that,
That's right.
and so there's a lot of suffering out there.
There's also a lot of cultural differences too,
Right.
A lot of cultures, people take care of each other.
Right.
And they love. Somebody showed me something. There's a TV show where this celebrity goes and he goes with food and he goes to different countries, and he was in Italy, I believe, and there was a group of people from other cultures, other nations that gathered around the food, and they it was so unifying.
Right.
And they called each other friends, and there was true love, and there was around the food, and they provided. And particularly this episode that was shared was this woman, and she had made food for, I want to say it was like 8 to 10 people, and brought it to the house, and they were around the table eating. Man, it was amazing. And how all the differences, some were Germans to, and it was.
Well, all in their community, basically, because all live like in the same neighborhood, and basically they all, they don't run down to, the Walmart and get them some groceries for a week. A lot of them still go on a daily basis to the market, so they're interacting with each other in that relationship.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm fixing this. Come on over tonight.
They don't have these, they don't have to run through McDonald's drive-through, get them kids a Happy Meal and them a value meal, and go home and eat real quick, eat on the way. Because that's the other thing is too, America is so busy. You got people with their kids specifically in all this extra stuff.
Right.
They got to go to soccer practice, and they got debate practice, and they got cheer practice, and they got this practice, and then they got these games, and they got these tournaments. And so these kids they're never around their parents. You're never able to talk. You're never able to have a connection with your kids. All these other people, it's like.
Well, there's another thing in this society that I noticed. It's a commercial I've been seeing here lately for Arlington, Texas. Mm-hmm. And basically the commercial is basically saying, it's what everybody seems to want, to be entertained. It's got the baseball and the Six Flags and all the other stuff they have down there at Arlington. Come here, we'll entertain you. Come be entertained. And for some reason, we have this idea we got to be entertained all the time. I guess one thing, we watch TV and the movies, and so we've got so accustomed to that kind of lifestyle that, if that big nuke they talked, if it ever went off and electricity was gone, we'd all be, we sitting there going,
that's right,
having withdrawals from it.
Turn off the Wi-Fi, see what happens.
Yes, he's been like that for a month, no Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
Right, so it's crazy how things are that, we're spoiled.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very spoiled.
Absolutely. Even the ones that don't have per se money
Right.
we're still spoiled, because like you said, you still can get help.
Right.
There's still organizations, but even part of that, the government help, and I'm not against, if you need to be on those subsidies and stuff, yeah, whatever. But the idea, like when I read the Bible, and even in context of church, what did they do? They sold stuff
Oh, yeah.
to help each other. They provided when somebody had need. There was people to take care of
Right.
need. They didn't say, "Oh, go to this subsidiary, go to this, organization." No, because the organism, Christ's body, said, "Oh, you need this."
Right.
You
You take like Barnabas, he not only went out and took the gospel out and shared it with, first with Paul, then later he went out with John Paul. Is that right?
Mark.
John Mark.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get it right. I think somebody else.
Yeah, you're still thinking Beatles.
Yeah, I'm still in that world, But anyway, this was a man that sold his property and everything, put it up front, here, put his money where his mouth was at. And he invested in the church there in Jerusalem. So, you don't see that much these days.
No.
Somebody going, I'm sell all my property and I'm going to give it, we're going to take the gospel out and we're going to do this and that, and to help each other. But no, you don't get a lot of that anymore. American churches have become, like I said, it's a religion.
Yeah.
Most of it is. And I think it all started with Catholicism, basically, and then even with the 16th, 17th century, the mother churches that started out of England and everything, is man started entering into his own personal beliefs into the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of these, That's why you got all these different denominations.
That's a good segue for this, because I just want to share. I won't go too much on it for sake of time, but like I was saying earlier, I was at a meeting yesterday and we were talking, and this verse came to my heart, and so I went home and stuff later, and I was looking at it, and it's in Matthew 15. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, "Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." So these religious people, you are going against Jesus because Jesus' disciples aren't washing their hand when they eat. And here's what Jesus said: "But he answered and said unto them, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? For God commanded, saying, Honor thy father and mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your traditions."
Right.
And here's what he calls them: "Ye hypocrites.
Ye hypocrites.
Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, These people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto him, Hear and understand. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man."
Right.
And he goes on to more parable, and then he talks about the blind leading the blind.
Right.
And then those things proceed out of the mouth, come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. Because of this defilement of washing, eating and not washing your hands.
That's amazing. Well, it's just like in modern day churches. We talk about churches. Well, that church is, I went there and they were very legalistic. Well, that's more or less you're saying they were very religious. Because basically when you get into these legalisms, that's basically you're creating new laws basically within, or rules within the body.
Sure.
For these things. And it's man run, and man, instead of coming to the Holy Spirit and seeking the Spirit's will in whatever you do, you just basically coming up with your own set of rules, just like the Pharisees did back in the day. And it becomes very religious. And Christ didn't come and die for religion. He hated it.
That's right.
He came and he died for a relationship that we could have with him.
Yep.
And that brings back, just going to give it a second here about Travis's chill out and serve, you know.
Oh, yeah.
In him. And
yeah.
it gave a list of all the things that, whoa, boy,
Man.
do we have, man, we are wealthy.
Bro, I mean.
Big time, you know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. If anybody ain't read it, look it up, chill out and serve. It's called In Him, and it's amazing. I advise y'all to read it. It's great.
Man.
You'll see exactly what all we truly have. And that's
is
just
a great
some
reminder
of it. Yeah.
to that. Yeah.
And that doesn't hit the whole deal, you know, that's just part of it. So it's amazing. It's amazing. And I advise everybody to do that. Now, I told you I had a gripe.
Yeah, that's right.
And this gripe, I play a game every once in a while on my phone, you know. When I'm sitting like in the doctor's office waiting or something. You know?
Right.
And they've been running these advertisements on there, these so-called Christian
oh, boy.
apps they have out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, this one of the guys says, "Dear child," like he's God talking, "Dear child," and they got a guy that looks like Jesus in this. "Dear child, you know that, you know, if you do this, you can get closer to me by playing it 20 minutes a day." And
Oh, for real?
oh, really? I mean, it goes on to this whole deal. Yeah, you know, it's crossroads, you know, putting words in there and stuff like that.
What?
You'll learn the Bible in 20 minutes and all this. And I'm sitting there, I said, "Are you kidding me?" And what was that one says? Because I forgot what he said on that one, but if I remember it, I'll say it. But anyway, it goes on and on and on. I'm saying, have we really got to the point where we trivialize what Christ did, that we play these little video games in the name of Jesus?
Wow.
Yeah.
I have not seen those.
You know, helps with your memory. It helps with this. It helps with that. You know.
Well, does it seem like it's real but fake? Is that what
Yeah, I mean, it's like the guy's talking, like it's God talking to you, dear child. You know, it's crazy.
That is deplorable.
It's terrible, and there's different ones. It just isn't one. There's several of them. I'm a Christian, and then they got one up there. This one here really gets me. This black dude, and there's this blonde-haired chick standing next to him, and this guy asks a question. He asks a question, the white guy snaps off the answer. By the time you watch the thing, you get to the end of it, they got him answering all the questions, and she's over going, "Duh." I said, they just portrayed her as some dumb blonde.
Wow.
Really. And, you know, all of a sudden, because you could answer, you know, certain questions, that brings you closer to God. And I don't know how that does that.
Okay.
You know. So, yeah, that gripes me. What do you think about it?
Yes, that gripes me too.
I mean, you know, it's...
Actually, that pisses me off.
It does. I mean, you look at it and you go, you got to be kidding me.
What the?
And there's a lot of it out there. I mean, that's what gets me, you know. It's terrible. So, yeah, that really is, I'll use my term, gripes me.
That is disgusting.
It is, you know. He's sitting there.
And how many people fall for that? How many so-called Christians or believers
that buy into that? And they're different ones. So how many is on all them different ones?
You know, those are the same ones that probably send money to Kenneth Copeland every week.
Probably do. Probably is Kenneth Copeland putting them out. You never know. You know, you never know with that group of people. But yeah, it just I thought, man, you got to be kidding. Because you can, just 20 minutes a day, it improve your memory, and you'll be able to learn the Bible, and you'll draw closer to God. It will bring you closer to God. If God is your number one priority, then 20 minutes a day. You're going there, what?
Wow.
You know, and then it says, on that one, well, what would he say in there? I'm trying to remember exactly what he said there, because I don't want to get it wrong. But if I think of it, I'll say it. But you know, that nothing, what was it? Nothing happens. You know.
That is, that makes me mad.
I know it.
I have not seen those.
I said, that's disgusting. I said, we just trivialized what Christ's sacrifice is. We've become that stupid. So vain. So, I don't know.
That
Christ is now a video game.
But isn't that, I mean, in my mind, that plays back into when the Bible talks about, you know, basically Satan is, you know, the whole, controls the airwaves, right?
He does.
And so he's pushing that through the airways. And you know what that does too? That doesn't just get people Christians or whatever off on that trend or are following, but it also not brings a nominality
Right.
to Christ.
Right. It trivializes.
Yeah, and it brings Christ down to our level.
Right.
And like in him, right?
Right.
That whole blog, it's like, we can't compare
Right.
to Jesus.
Right.
And
it's it's crazy.
that
And I think what he basically said on that one was because he's and it's God's will that you do this.
there you go.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, that's what I say, and it's out there, and people falling for it probably continuously.
How-
Oh yeah, I've become a better Christian because I learned how to play a jigsaw puzzle. What's that called? The crossword puzzle. It's what it is. What a lot of it is.
Yeah.
Put the word in, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And I thought, you got to be kidding me.
And I wonder how many people are using that too as their Bible time or their God time.
Yeah. Learn the Bible. Huh?
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy. So that's what's going on out there, and that's what griped me. So.
That gripes me too.
You got anything else that griped you?
That gripes me too. I am. Ugh. That makes me sick to my stomach.
I know it.
Okay. So I got a couple things here.
Okay.
Let's see how. We'll do a speed round here, I guess.
Right.
A couple things. I lost my bookmark here, so for me, you know me, and some of the listeners know me too, where I try to stay on top of a lot of things that are going on within tech world, and I'm not talking just like the new iPhone 16, a lot of things when it comes to this idea of what's going on, and even what you're talking about, these advertisements,
Right.
That's a huge red flag to me.
Yeah.
And that's, the Bible tells us that to be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind,
yeah.
and the things that go in your mind, and those things. If you're playing a game like that, or you're doing something where that ad's coming up, and and you have these people that are seeking or on the verge of salvation or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of circumstances. They're seeing these things, and it's watering down Jesus.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it truly is.
When
And that sacrifice, like I said, 2,000 years removed, and the trivialization of what happened that day on that cross. I mean, it's been trivialized so much, and I don't think people really understand, what went on there.
Right.
Truly went on there. I mean, it's, man. But I don't know. It's like I said in that deal, that's what he said. One thing he said, because everything is God's will.
How are you doing today?
I said, everything's God's will. So if I wanted to go down to the bar and get drunk, that was God's will. I went down to the bar and got drunk. No, that's my will. We
That's
have
right.
we have our will, and there's God's will.
Absolutely.
And it's probably your will saying, let's play this game.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Crazy stuff. What do you got up there for me?
Okay. Let me pull this up. Sorry, I had it bookmarked, and then when you have something up on your phone, and then you go and you go to clear out something, like you're listening to your Spotify or whatever, and you accidentally scroll up, and you're like,
oh yeah.
I'm like,
It's crazy.
I hate when I do that, especially when like on Bluetooth or something.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Bear with me here. Where's it at?
Yeah, it's crazy stuff going on out there. It's really sad that the condition, and people, they trivialize Jesus Christ every day. They don't understand what we've been given. Like I said, in him, all those things that Travis put out there that is just amazing. Amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Truly, it's I really don't.
Okay.
know.
I have two here. This one may be too long. You know what? I'll just do this other one.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just do that one. Okay. So hold on, let me key this up here. I need to get better at this.
Yes, you do.
Thanks.
It's in my Apple phones that cause all that trouble.
Nah, whatever. Don't even go there.
Well, you got stock in that company or something?
I am in the Apple ecosystem, okay? I mean, I run off this Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is called Husbands, This Is Why God Isn't Listening to You. Okay. And what this is, there's a pastor. Are you familiar with Pastor Mark Driscoll?
Yeah.
Big Calvinist. He's a big Calvinist guy.
Yeah.
But he's big on manhood and things like that.
Yeah.
And but he does these reaction videos of like this woke stuff come out, mostly for parents, husbands, wives, relationships, that type of stuff. And so I saw this one, and it's pretty funny. So this is at a conference. This woman is interviewing this man, this husband or whatever, and he's giving some information. And then Mark Driscoll, he's going to give his little tidbit. Okay, so here we go.
Oh, yeah.
And that he's speaking to me harshly or disrespectfully.
Number one, how do I gently remind my husband? If he's speaking to you harshly, it may not be a gentle reminder. It may be a, stop talking to me like that, please. It doesn't have to be a, oh, honey, right? The second thing is or speaking to me disrespectfully, don't. I'll just say that blanketly in this room. Don't speak to your wife disrespectfully. Don't speak to your husbands disrespectfully. Even when you're disagreeing, even when you're angry, treat each other with dignity and respect.
So 1 Peter 3 is where you want to go. It says, husbands, do not be harsh with your wives. Treat them with consideration because they are the weaker vessel, lest God not hear and answer your prayers. And the scary part of that verse is that before that woman is your wife, she is the Father's daughter. She's God's daughter. And if you're not treating her well, he is not going to treat you well. He will actually ignore your prayers, which then means you're a man who is literally on his own without the assistance or involvement of God in your life until you repent and treat his daughter with dignity, which should be a terrifying thing for every man, because when you pick a fight with her, you're picking a fight with him. The worst thing a woman could ever say is, I just want equality, treat me like a man. I'll just tell you this, ladies, you don't want any man treating you like we treat each other. It's a bunch of thermoses banging into and hammering on one another.
Alrighty.
So what do you think about that?
I know. Well, yeah, you should treat your wife with all kinds of respect and everything.
Yeah.
You know? And if you mistreat her, I'm sure God will. If you don't repent from it, if it's a continuous action all the time, I could understand that. But we shouldn't get angry or mad at them. And if you do, you're supposed to get rid of that before you even go to bed at night,
Yeah.
Make sure before the sun goes down, you clean that up.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you consider your wife a gift?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, me too. I would consider my wife a gift to me. She is a gift.
She is.
Because the Bible tells us that she is a gift to us.
And who would want to mistreat that gift that God gave me?
That's right.
Right. So
and it's precious.
Right. I
think about gifts that I've ever received throughout my life and how I treated some of those gifts.
It's just like like you said in Genesis, we're one flesh. We became one flesh. So whatever affects me affects her, and vice versa. So we're in this together. So we got to work together to make this.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, that's what we got to do. Whatever comes up, we're in it together, and it doesn't make no difference. And God's in the middle of our life, and He's in the middle of our marriage. So that's where He should be. So
that's right.
Because it belongs to Him anyway. He created marriage, and created me and her, and it all belongs to Him.
It's like that triangle diagram. On one side, you have the husband. On the other side, you have the wife. And if the husband and wife are focusing and following Christ, then it's a triangle, so they meet up together, and so they're both following Christ, and everything works out, everything, because the Christ is their focus. My wife can't be Jesus for me. I can't be Jesus for my wife.
Right.
Only Jesus can be that.
Jesus, right.
But it is amazing that even when my wife and I, we're both following Christ, we're getting in dirty, and it's like, okay, going through some stuff, but Christ is our center personally.
Right.
How that one fleshness just,
Right.
I mean,
It works.
It works. And, I think about that because marriage is, again, think of like my wife is a gift. She's a gift to me. And, and I know your testimony too of, God bringing that.
Yeah.
And, even at a later age for yourself.
Wasn't looking.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't either.
Right.
I was done. I did the dating thing in high school and all that stuff. And, you get hurt, you're like, whatever. And then you think you're going to be cool and just be like, okay, I'm just going to date and just whatever, casual. Right. Yeah. And then finally just giving up.
Right.
And God brought me the perfect one for me.
Amen.
And he has brought the perfect one for you.
Right.
And I cherish that. I love my wife, and don't mean I can't be a dummy, don't mean I can't have an attitude.
Oh, yeah.
But, like you're saying, when we got married, when Amy and I got married, there was a lady in our church, and she was a sweet, feisty lady. She was short, but her and her husband were sweet, but she was feisty. And I remember, got married, went down to the reception and the gym, and she came up to me and she said, "Come here. No, come down here." So I had to bend down to her and say, "You listen to me. So y'all are one flesh. That's your wife."
Right.
Said, and like what you were saying earlier, if y'all are mad at each other, y'all don't go to bed until he gets you that right.
That's right. Get it right.
And you don't do that. You get that right, even if it takes all night, all morning.
Don't let your sun go down on your anger.
Yeah, and it's like young, stupid. There were times that didn't happen.
Basically, if you're one flesh, you're fighting with yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Like I'm throwing punches and I'm getting hit. Black eye. What's going on?
What's going on here? You should love your wife, and that's just plain and simple. God said to.
Yeah,
and it's the right thing. Now that reminds me of that joke though I said the other night. I don't know. Did you hear that one? Did you hear the one?
I heard a couple. I heard a couple, and that yeah. I think the one that you're referring to.
You want me to repeat that?
Was it the one I asked you? Did you tell Pam that?
No. Yeah, there's that one.
And you said no.
I could tell it.
You want me to? Go ahead and tell it.
Okay, it says, this man asked his wife, he says, "Where do you want to go on our anniversary?" She says, "I want to go someplace I've never been before." He said, "I want to try the kitchen."
That is terrible. That is not.
I know, it's just funny.
That's not respecting your wife.
I know.
Jimmy Nick's jokes does not reflect the podcast.
In fact, that was a any Youngman joke. That goes way back in the day. 100 years ago, I think.
That is
something.
That's kind of funny there. Oh man. I'm sorry. That's good stuff.
I know. All right.
That's good stuff. Right. Okay, so let's wrap up here this podcast.
I got a little bit of a song I'm going to play.
Okay.
I wish I need to talk to the guys in charge of music. We might slip this in there once or somewhere down the line.
No telling.
But now it's actually, this gal here is famous. Passed away in, I think, a plane crash or whatever it was 100 years ago. She had a big hit that's reminded by called Crazy. Patsy Cline, Willie Nelson song she didn't want to record, but it became her top song. There's a song she did, and when it's getting closer to God, and this here song kind of gets you there.
Satisfaction rating.
Wow. Our cats just love great customer service.
That's the wrong one.
Service. Right.
I don't get this excited for wet food.
It does that. I set it up, and it does that to me every single time.
It's today. It's just today.
Here we go.
Read your favorite book.
I got another one. I mean, I'm going to have a talk with these people.
You just have to suck it up and
Make
pay
your
the
comfort
premium.
meal from the
I guess I'm going to have to
You've
temper
built
to my
a life at
kitchen.
home. The Keys personalized care services grow with you.
All right, we'll wait till it gets there.
Okay.
But
You
anyway,
have to pay the premium just so you can get the ads.
how much that cost?
That's
anyway?
what I do.
I didn't even pay this.
I do YouTube premium
That's probably what I'm going to.
because some of those ads are the worst on premium.
Yeah, really. All right, here we go.
Just a closer walk with me.
I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk close to thee. Just a closer walk with thee.
Just a closer walk.
Granted, Jesus is my plea.
Just a closer walk.
Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be.
All right.
Awesome.
It's amazing. Love it song.
Yeah, that's good.
Which we all should be wanting to walk close with him daily,
Yes, amen.
and getting closer and closer to him as the days go by. So
Absolutely.
if we could work that in somewhere during church service someday,
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
maybe. But it ought to bring you closer anyway.
Yeah.
It inspires you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. You got something?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. Well, this is Jimmy Nick.
And this is Phil.
Adios.
See you later.